I I despair a little bit about the DCMS and about the Home Office, and because we are reaching a crisis in the arts, a dereliction of duty by the DCMS, and the moral absurdity of the Home Office's current approach to cultural exchange. I remember a few years ago when Putin marched into uh, Ukraine. Well, of course, not personally. Not personally. He's not done anything personal for a long time because he's languishing in a smeg fridge. But when he sent his troops into Ukraine, and a band contacted me and said they were having difficulty getting visas because they'd been invited to play a concert in the UK. And did I have any advice? And I rang round. I did a lot of ringing. And I found that it's almost impossible to access the Home Office. And even if you talk to your local MP, your local MP has no access to telephone numbers anymore. It's all to call centres or to or by email. So of course those visas didn't come through, and that is shocking. And in Britain, we once prided ourselves on being a lighthouse for culture, for the arts, for creative expression, from Shakespeare to Stormzy, from the proms to punk. We have long punched above our weight in the global cultural ring. But today I feel we're no longer punching, we are flailing, and the blow is self-inflicted. And if I begin with a singular, shameful story of Ibrahima Balde, an award-winning writer and refugee now resident in Spain, has just been denied a visa to attend the London premiere of Little Brother, a stage adaptation of his own memoir. And the play, adapted by Timberlake Wertenbaker, the same Timberlake Wertenbaker, is about his search for his younger brother across the migrant routes of Sahara, a PEN Award winner, lauded by the late Pope Francis, scheduled to stay with the playwright herself and still refused. Why? Because the Home Office, that Kafkaesque cathedral of confusion, is not satisfied that Mr. Balde will leave the country after 4 days. 4 days? 4 days, and he's resident in Spain. He's now banned from appeal. No right of review, no contact number, just rejection by algorithm or by an outsourced call centre. This isn't an outlier, this is the system. And it must be wrong. Since Brexit, the landscape for arts-based visas has become a bureaucratic wasteland. Touring is virtually impossible. Opera companies are cancelling EU runs. Ballets can no longer invite European guest stars without a logistical circus that would shame even the Cirque du Soleil. UK musicians too, face extortionate costs to perform on the continent and to drive their vans on the continent, loaded with their own specially constructed luggage compartments for very expensive instruments. And European artists are increasingly blacklisting the UK as a destination, not out of disdain, but out of despair. And where is the Department for Culture, Media and Sport? Where is it? It's not been anywhere for the last 15 odd years. The DCMS, once a spirited if underpowered advocate for Britain's cultural exports, has become, to borrow from Oscar Wilde, a trivial department for trivial pursuits. It has failed to champion the very people it's designed to support. No emergency visa schemes, no touring waivers, no post-Brexit cultural bridges, just radio silence while the Home Office burns the passports of art behind its own firewall of suspicion. This matters not only because of the arts, although heaven knows that should be reason enough. It matters because cultural exchange is a diplomatic exchange. It's soft power. When we prevent performers from entering our country, we're not just cancelling a concert or a curtain call. We are severing a conversation about identity, about humanity, about belonging. Banning Ibrahima Balde from watching his own life unfold on stage is not merely bureaucratic cowardice, it's moral illiteracy, and it's cruel. It suggests that stories, no matter how powerful, are meaningless if told by those with the wrong papers. We are in effect declaring that empathy ends at the border. Meanwhile, the Home Office is institutionally unreachable. MPs themselves complain they can no longer get hold of real decision makers. Everything is triaged through generic inboxes handled by anonymous officials accountable to no one. Advice is contradictory, even farcical, and you might as well write to Father Christmas. And the Home Office, that inaccessible bastion, is remarkable for its lethargy and its laziness. We are told glibly that all applications are judged on their merits. But what merit is there if the system cannot distinguish between a man who met the Pope and a man trying to vanish in a gig economy? What confidence can we have in a regime where even Württemberger's guarantee of lodging is considered suspect? Let's be clear, this is not about open borders, it's about open minds, and a rational visa system would recognise the unique needs of the creative industries. It would expedite temporary entry for artists with verified credentials. It would trust the word of established theatres, orchestras and galleries. It would treat culture not as a threat to national security, but as a national asset. We should be leading a global cultural renaissance, not crawling back into Fortress Britain, mumbling about safeguards while operas get cancelled and playwrights are snubbed. Listen to Mr. Balder's own words. The world is a very big place for many people, with so much space for the want and need to explore. But for some people like me, the world is a small place, the rest of which I am not allowed to see. What a chilling reflection of the Britain that we have become. We must demand better from the Home Office. We must revive the DCMS as a serious department, as a serious ministry, not a ceremonial afterthought. We must, or a stepping stone to ministerial greatness elsewhere. Think Matt Hancock. Think Jeremy Hunt. And we must reassert that culture, performed, lived and shared. Think Dowden. Oliver Dowden is not a luxury of the elite. But I was going to think Nadine Dorries, but it's a necessity of civilization. Not Nadine Dorries, but the DCMS. The DCMS is a really good idea, and it's been dragged into the mud by twits for so long. Twits whose only interest is their own self-promotion. Self-promotion, that's self-obsession. It's onanistic, and it's dull. It's not interesting, and it's not productive.